play that as pedo music. Need some stats for this video. So, I have some expertise in some stranger fields, so I thought I'd share some of my knowledge with you. As discussed in a previous video, I do know quite a bit about cars, and I also know quite a bit about zombies. I've put way too much thought into which car I would use in the event of a zombie apocalypse. So I thought I'd share those thoughts with you. Now, if we were in the pub and you said to me, Dabby, what do you think is the best car in the world? I would say, well, depends. Depends on which factors you're talking about. If price is an issue, then I would say that the Toyota GT86 is the best car in terms of value, what you get for it. It's a brilliant car, and it reminds me of the Ford Capris that were very popular in my mum's era, because they're a sports car that's affordable to almost everyone. Not everyone, but you know what I mean. It's not 100 grand, it's not 120 grand. You can pick up one for about £20,000, which is quite reasonable in sports car terms. Now, if we're talking about if I could wake up tomorrow and there's a car on my driveway, don't know where it came from, it could be any car in the world, any price, anything. In production at the moment, it would be the Lamborghini Aventador. Now, I think the McLaren and the Ferrari 458 are technically better cars. I think as machines, they're better engineered, they're more complete. But for me, what makes a Lamborghini special is it reminds me of my old dog, in that if you took the Lamborghini Aventador to the vets, it would crap all over your brother's back seat. Or if you showed him a glimmer of the door opening, it would run away and you'd find yourself wandering the streets looking for the Lamborghini at 3 in the morning. It just has a bit more personality to it than the Ferrari and the McLaren do. My old dog did crap all over the back of my brother's car, which is kind of funny. But we aren't talking about that. We're talking about what would be the best car in a zombie apocalypse. Cue the title music. I haven't got any title music. I'll make some title music. Now, the Lamborghini would not be even close to the top of the list if I was choosing a car for a zombie apocalypse. And I'll explain why. Now, the first problem is it's about the size of a bus. When you look at zombie apocalypse actually taking place, the roads are going to become pretty unforgiving pretty quickly. They won't be maintained, there'll be a lot of abandoned cars. Your car's going to need to be relatively smallish. So the Lamborghini doesn't really, I mean, it struggles with speed bumps, and that isn't great already. And when you get into the state of repair the roads will be in the zombie apocalypse, it's going to be pretty much useless. Not to mention, it's going to be useless in the winter. Any snow, it's going to be pretty much useless. And then you're stranded and you leave yourself exposed to attacks while you try and unstick your Lamborghini from the snow. Also, pretty quickly, petrol is going to become a pretty valuable commodity. It's going to be pretty hard to come by petrol in a zombie apocalypse, let's face it. And you don't want something that just drinks it all like that. And you probably get, I don't know the exact figure, but I think it's about 2 to 3 miles per gallon in a Lamborghini. And if you're going for it, I think it's going to be less than 1. You're going to need to fill up a lot. I've written a list on the back of an envelope of some of the cars used in other zombie films. And generally they're always really bad choices. The most notable one from Walking Dead is the Mustang that's in the first season. And that has exactly the same problems as the Lamborghini. 2 low miles per gallon, and it won't cope well with off-road or anything, or corners. I mean, it struggles with corners now when there's not an apocalypse. A zombie film that's quite famous for its car choice is Zombieland, and they use a Hummer.
Look at what we got here.
Which, getting better, still too big, can probably cope with some off-road, though a car of that size I can't see being brilliant off-road. Never driven one. And again, the miles per gallon. I believe some Hummers did less than 1 mile per gallon. I think they did about 0.2 miles per gallon, which when I was watching Zombieland, that was one of the most annoying things for me. You see them driving along and driving along and driving along, and I'm sat there going, how have you not needed to stop to fill up yet? And then in Shaun of the Dead, They use a Jaguar, and I think it's a Citroen Saxo as well. They both have the same problem in that they're both ridiculously unreliable. Those Jaguars were always really coveted as well. I didn't really understand why, because they were pretty rubbish. Those old Jags were rubbish. They were just known as a luxury item, but they weren't even well built, and they did break down a lot. And they're not particularly quick either, and you want a car in a zombie apocalypse to be relatively quick. It doesn't need to be Lamborghini speeds, but you still need to be able to escape sticky situations. And Dawn of the Dead as well was one that came to mind. I originally thought of the remake where they use converted buses, which again, too big. I mean, it's in the States though, so they have bigger roads. But in this country, a converted bus would be pretty useless. You'd get stuck pretty quickly, and then you'd be dead. They also use a helicopter in the original one, which is probably a good idea, but I don't know how to fly a helicopter. I don't know anyone that does. How scary would it be if a zombie just walked into shot here? Ow. I can see that there's a lady watching me. My kitchen window's right behind where the camera is. Right, so, in terms of cars to use in a zombie apocalypse, we've established that there's a few things that you need to have. A, it can't be too big. B, it needs to get decent miles per gallon. C, it needs to be relatively quick but not too quick, and it needs to be able to be used all year round, because you don't want to be changing car when it gets to winter, because that's just going to take up time. It leaves yourself exposed. Instantly, most people's minds would go to 4x4s, and the best 4x4s on the market are made by Land Rover and Range Rover. Quite coveted is the Range Rover Sport, but then you get the problem of the miles per gallon again. It gets about 22 miles to the gallon. And that's okay, that's reasonable, but really you want to be going further than that. Now the best car to use in a zombie apocalypse, I believe, would be the Range Rover Evoque. Now let me explain my logic behind that. It'll do well off-road, it's relatively small, so it's turning circle if you need to do a U-turn, and doing a 3-point turning one isn't going to take too long. The best one is the 2.2 litre 5-door 4-wheel drive Pure, it's called. It's got 190 brake horsepower. So it will do 0 to 60 in about 8.4 seconds, which I would say is quick enough. I mean, it's not going to break any land speed records, but that's quick enough to escape a sticky situation. If you need to put your foot down, you know you've got some power there. It does about 50 miles to the gallon, so you're going to save on fuel. So for me, that is the best car to use in a zombie apocalypse. And it'll work in the winter, in the autumn, in the snow, in the rain. That you'll be able to use it all year round, you won't have to change. So there you go. She's still watching me, it's really off-putting. So for me, the Range Rover Evoque is the most complete car that you could use. If you have any better ideas, you have something that you think will be better suited, leave them in the comments down below. I've been Dabby and you've been you.